Okay, now moving on with my personal pick 10. Pick 10's guy's choice, of course. We're on Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Which is a movie that came out back in 2005, I want to say. And it was a movie that I didn't see right away. I was senior in high school in 2005, so I graduated in 2006. So it was very much something I remember watching it on TV. Like Comedy Central used to air this all the time, and I remember seeing the ending and thinking, "Are they already setting up a sequel?" They did, which would come like 5 years later, but we would get one. But okay, no, it was 2004. The first one came out, and then 4 years later was the second one, and then you have 3 years later for the third one, right? Yeah. So, you have Harold and Kumar, two buds. It's one of those movies, one of those stoner comedies where you got two main characters going to do something. You know, it's a buddy comedy movie, which I love buddy comedy movies, but it's one of those things where buddy comedy, it's the two main characters. Their names even blank and blank, like Bill and Ted, or Jay and Silent Bob, or Cheech and Chong, that kind of thing. And these are up there on my list of blank and blank buddies. You know, Bill and Ted is, of course, going to be at the top, and then Jay and Silent Bob, and then there's these guys, but and just yeah, so the whole thing is that the story here is that they're stoners. So they get really high, they get really hungry, and they decide to go to White Castle. But when they get to where that White Castle should be, they find out from Anthony Anderson cameo that that White Castle was actually closed 4 years earlier by Burger World. So they decide to go on a quest to the Cherry Hill, New Jersey White Castle. And right away, what I like about this is that they do the "we're going there and it's not there anymore" gag that you would see in comedies like this at the time. Oh, we're going to do this one thing. When we get to where it's supposed to be, it's not there, or it's not what we think it's going to be, that sort of thing. And they get that out of the way right away. We're going to go to the White Castle. We're going to get, all this food, and they get there and it's not there. And then they go and they end up doing the thing that they want to do. So that works. There's also individual storytelling. And if it's one thing, it's more for Harold than it is Kumar. Kumar's one story beat is that his father wants him to be a doctor. And by the end of this film, he pretty much, accepts that. I'm going to take my exam. I'm going to do what my dad says. I'm going to be a doctor, whatever. But I don't know. It's sort of played for last week. Like, it was some point of when I saved that guy's life and riding a cheetah or meeting Neil Patrick Harris that it popped in my head. And yeah, I don't know. But anyway, if they were intending on, I think they were sort of intending. There's a fly on my phone. Go away, fly. This fly has been bugging the shit out of me. Yesterday, I tried to take a nap, right? And I got like maybe an hour nap. And all of a sudden, it was crawling on my goddamn face while I'm trying to take a nap. And I'm sitting here trying to watch movies today, and I get a fly crawling on my head, or, it just won't leave me alone. I keep trying to kill it. It won't fucking die. And now it's crawling on the phone while I'm trying to record. At least not on the camera lens. Anyway, yeah, the character development is really for Harold, where he he's the quiet character. He always gets stepped on, that sort of thing. And these two big guys who were probably bullies in high school kind of tell him, hey, we need you to do this. We got an important business meeting, which is total bullshit. You have to do this work for us. The thing is, he actually gets the work done, but then he gets destroyed when they're on the cheetah. Yes, they ride a cheetah in this movie. And it breaks the laptop. And then at the end of the movie, he finds out that, what they actually did was hook up with two ladies. And he fires off on them and say, you know what? No. I will tell the boss on you if you ever try that again. And that sort of thing. And he gets a backbone. There was also this thing with Maria, played by Paula Garces, who I know from Clock Stoppers. And she has a small role. And I was looking up stuff from the second film, because she's in that one. She has a small role in that one, too. She really doesn't have a bigger role until the third film, which is really weird. And even in the whole plot of trying to build him up to talk to her, that's really a small part. It's at the beginning. There's a thing in the middle where they see her again, seeing a screening of 16 Candles. And then at the end. So it's kind of a beginning, middle, and end thing, but it's not really touched on as much as Kumar's story would be in the second film, I think. I don't remember. But I will cover that eventually. Sequel-a-thon. Let's go. But, Sequel-a-thon 3 will be. I really don't know if I'm going to do it in August or not. I'm still weighing the pros and cons of doing it. I know I should, because I bought all those sequels. I can do another one. But yeah, and this is a fun movie. I do feel like there are some things that's a bit unnecessary. Like, they go to Princeton. Now, this is one of the detours that makes sense. Because they run out of weed because what they have, Harold throws out the window. So they go to Princeton to get more. They find this guy. He was in, Jason Goes to Hell, and he was Eric the Chi on Animorphs, but yeah, he's got this big bag of stuff, and then he's okay. So I'm not a pothead. I do not smoke weed, but $80 for a bag like this big of weed, like that. There's gotta be more. Like, what's the exchange rate here? Because he's like that, right? It's like that big. It's like, this much. Maybe about this much. Bag full of weed. It's not even a full bag. It's just about this much in the bag of weed. Okay, this box. Right? And so, he charges $80 for this. I know that stuff isn't a man. I know it's not cheap, and I never done this stuff, but $80 for that. Even Kumar's like, dude, that's like 40. The guy is stiffing him. I don't know. You think $80 you get a pretty big batch? I don't know what you call it, but bag. Anyway, yeah. So they go there. That's a necessary detour. But then there's all these other detours. There is Freak Show detour, which is Freak Show is this hillbilly guy played by Christopher Maloney, and I don't know. This is the theatrical version I'm watching, right? And it feels like the car ride, like the joke that you remember with this character was really at the house with the wife, but it feels like this car ride takes forever. And there was this long joke about the boils on his skin. We're like, you can eat your skin. Look. It just goes on for him, like, but I don't remember it being this long. I don't know. But then you get the whole, just go in there, get something to drink, fuck my wife. Didn't you just say that? And it's Malin Ackerman in an early role. We get to see some titties. And then the joke, he comes in, look, let's make it a foursome. And he's in like a Speedo. That's the stuff you remember from the trailer and stuff. But then, again, there's the Neil Patrick Harris stuff. They find him on the road. He's hitchhiking. And they go to ask for go to ask for directions, and Magic Harris steals their car. And that comes so late in the film. It's maybe an hour into the movie that he does this. And I'm like, I remember it being so much sooner. I guess not. Really. And there's this running joke where they keep running into these extreme punks. And they're everywhere. And it's one of those cases where you have these bullies that just won't leave you alone. No matter where you go, you just can't get rid of them. It's one of those situations. But that leads to them stealing their vehicle and finding out that they listen to, like, soft rock, or whatever you call it, like love songs and stuff. Somebody's gonna make you want to say goodbye. That song or whatever. Life. But, yeah, and then it does end up because they're in the car and the cops looking for those punks, so they get arrested. There's also another unnecessary scene where Harold gets, and it's very stupid to me at first because, like, okay, I think it's one of those jokes that I never really thought was funny. Only the Looney Tunes can pull off this joke. You know what I mean? Where, like, it's like a Roadrunner thing or something, or something where there's a bunch of cars and a Roadrunner can go across, but then the coyote's looking and there's nothing there for miles either side. As soon as he steps, boom, he gets run over. They do that here. Now the Looney Tunes can pull it off, but with Harold and Kumar, he goes over there to he's like, come on, it's 2:30 in the morning. No one's gonna do anything. Just walk. And he looks. There's no car forever. So he steps. Cop car pulls up. I'm like, no. That makes no sense. In cartoons, you can pull that off because it's a cartoon. But in real life, he looked both ways. There was no cop cars for miles. No cars for miles. And all of a sudden, he takes one step. Cars right there. That's bullshit. It's not funny. It's stupid. It's funny if it's a cartoon because you can pull those things off the cartoons, but that's not funny. And what's more, what makes this scene worse is it's a racist cop. Because this is the 2000s, and we thought those kind of jokes were funny because it worked in the 90s and even in the 80s. But now, it's the 2000s, and there's a kind of going out of style. But 2000s had two kind of styles. Gay jokes, racist jokes. That's the thing. And so, let me tell you something. Sequel, they don't learn their lesson. It's a different director, too. Two directors in the second one. But they don't. Same writers. It's the writers of the first film that wrote and directed the second film. That's why. Same jokes. Okay. Yeah, so this racist cop. And at this point, Harold's had enough. He just wants to go. And he goes to hit Kumar. Kumar moves and he hits the cop. And we smash cut to him in prison. Only Harold was arrested. He just left Kumar there. Right? And, Gary Anthony Williams has a cameo as this African-American man who was also arrested because they said that a black man robbed a store. So they just said, okay, it's him. And even then, Kumar calls in a fake shooting. And they come back with some African-American guy that was sleeping in his house that they pulled out because they think it was him. And it's enough if it's one cop, but then they show that every single cop in this precinct is a racist. That's a little too much. And what doesn't make sense to me is if they're racist, why weren't both of them arrested? Now you can say, because Harold punched him, but that we are shown that they are racist and don't care what is going on. They could have arrested him too. Even at this point, they get away because they're so interested in arresting Gary Anthony Williams' character, Jackson, as he was called. I don't know, they get away. And the whole thing with the big bag of weed, because it's the same big bag of weed that the guy from the college had, and then he gets arrested, and then it's at that precinct, and they take it. But they never smoke it, because, they do, sort of, when they're on the cheetah. By the way, The CGI when they're riding the cheetah, terrible. I'm pretty sure it was terrible back then. It's terrible now. And they have the two Jewish friends, Rosenberg and Levenstein or something like that. And their whole thing is they want to go to Hot Burger Heaven. They meet up a couple times. They show the beginning and they meet in the middle of the movie or so. And then they see them at Hot Dog Heaven. And so they're like, I was like, no, I want that. I want to be happy. And at one point, they did plan on doing a spin-off showing what those characters went through on this same night, how they got to Hot Dog Heaven. Like Rosenberg and Levenstein go to Hot Dog Heaven. That has never materialized at this point. I think they aged too much. I mean, when the third one came out, this was still in planning, and even that I think was a little too much if you want to go back to 2005. Now, almost 20 years have passed. So I don't think you can ever revisit that. Unless you make a spin-off where they go to Hot Dog Heaven and it's a sequel to that night and they recall events from that night and it's going to Hot Dog Heaven again. Maybe you call back to it by saying, oh, it's the last Hot Dog Heaven in New Jersey and it's going to close and we got to go tonight before it closes forever. And it brings back memories of when they went there the first time. Or the previous time, you know? That whole thing. Who knows? But it's David Krumholtz and Eddie K. Thomas, you know, and they're good in the roles, you know, but they don't get much to do. I don't know. I think maybe they're a cameo in the second one. I don't know about the third one. The third one's the only one I went to the theater to see. I remember it being all right. I was with a friend of mine, Robert. But, yeah. But yeah, like some of the jokes are very like early 2000s jokes. Like I said, it's either gay jokes or racist joke. Like, and I don't think he was out yet, but it's a joke that caused, that made me like do a second take was, I think it's the Jewish guys, Rosenberg and Levenstein or whatever. They make a joke like, there's a guy, or at least, like, you know, I think one of them might be gay, and or something like that. Like, yeah, they're both. Do you think one of them might be a figula or something like that? And like, oh yeah, they're both gay or something. And I'm like, I'd look it up. Cal Penn is actually gay in real life, and I think this was before he came out. I think he only came out like 2010 or something. So like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they knew, and they put that. Maybe the writers knew, and they put that joke in there. I don't know, but it's an interesting thing that popped up. Like, wait, is one of them? I know that John Cho's not, but so I had to look it up, and I was like, is that a reference to one of the characters ending up in the future? No, because they both end up with women. So, yeah. And also, I'm not going to spoil anything from the second film, but the context of Kumar wanting to get laid all the time, when you think of the sequels, especially the next one, what goes on with his character in that film, you wonder if they really had that planned, or if they decided when they did the sequel, we have to give him something because we gave Harold something in the last one. And with hindsight is 2020, like, if the way that story goes down is for real, was going down at the time for that character, I don't think realistically he would be going after getting laid if he was still pining for her, we'll just say. But overall, this was enjoyable. I'm going to give it a middle of the road. It did kind of go down for me since the last time I watched it, which was probably 10 years ago, to be honest. I probably watched this when the first two again when the third one came out just to refresh, but I don't know. It's still a fun watch. I have fun with it, but it definitely went down from the last time I watched it, especially since it's the first time in a reviewing capacity. But, you know, let's go ahead and roll the dice, shall we? 7. I only have 6, and we'll re-roll. 5. I forgot. We were... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, this is it. This is it. This is the one I wanted to review the most and I thought was going to be last. Ready to rumble. Do I have to? Oh, I guess I should explain with Harold and Kumar what the personal connection that was. It's just one of the comedies I would throw on in the background if I was like playing video games, or if I was cleaning the apartment, or if I just wanted to relax with a movie. I would put that on. Obviously, I don't do it as much as I used to anymore. I watch a lot of YouTube now, but yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle? Leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.